Welcome to Reimagining Star Wars. This is Imagine Maker, and on the line with us is, introduce yourself.
Star Wars Santa. Ho, ho, ho. Hello.
Hello, we're here once again to talk some Star Wars, and today we're actually delving into Legends material, the old EU, and we're going to look at the Young Jedi Knight series. And this is, I think this is a great place to start. It's a place to develop characters. It's for the youth. I think this might be labeled as a young adult series, but I think this is for your kids in the range of about 9 to 13. I think it's a good place for this to start. And it's introducing the characters of Jaina and Jason, the children of Han and Leia, at Luke's Academy, and their adventures start here. And Luke's Academy is set on Yavin 4, and the place that you saw in New Hope that they launched out and took out the first Death Star. And this will play an important piece in the development of this story. So anyway, so what did you think, Santa, as you read this book? What did you think about it?
Well, this was very interesting because I've not read this series before. And honestly, my exposure to Legends material is somewhat limited. I read the original Zahn trilogy back probably 20 years ago, and then I've read some things here and there between, but it's been a long time since I engaged with Legends material. And then in this case, it's the first time I read anything from this series. There's a couple of takeaways. One is these books are pretty light, like less than 100 pages. You can get through it in a very quick read, and they're fun little stories. And for me, I enjoyed spending time with them, and I don't take them too seriously, right? So that's the key. And yeah, I think you're right. Like as far as a young adult, I'm not so sure. I'd put it closer to preteen. It's more like a preteen book when I read it, and the characters are fun. The adventure they go on is fun, and I enjoyed it.
So yeah, I think that it's that we're looking at a little book where it's really just an introduction of characters. So we get the 4 character group is that we're getting introduced to is Jason and Solo, Jaina Solo, his twin sister. And we have the nephew of Chewbacca come in, who's Lobaka, and then their friend Tino Ka. And that's really important as we start to develop this little story, because this will become a core group for them. So and I think this is real interesting. So my favorite character of the group is actually Tino Ka. What about you, Santa?
That's funny. I enjoyed Tino Ka as well. And I'm just briefly mentioning there's one other person in the book as a bit of it reminds me more of from Harry Potter. Oh shoot, Neville Longbottom.
Oh yeah, Neville Longbottom.
Right. So there's another character in there, Raynar Thull. Raynar Thull. And he's not much of a character, but he's another student with them. But yeah, Tino Ka was my favorite, and she is from Dathomir, right? And so immediately in my head, I had a picture of the witches of Dathomir, and made that connection because of the experience I had with the Clone Wars animated series. So I enjoyed it. In the other thing that I thought was interesting, and I had to look it up before we talked today, Lobaka, as I was reading the book, I had the picture in my head of Gungi from the Clone Wars as well. Gungi was in the Clone Wars episodes when Ahsoka was captured, Padawan lost, and that.
Right.
So, that in that series, Chewbacca shows up. Actually, Gungi shows up as a student of Ahsoka's later. He's one of the kids that goes in and makes his lightsaber, and he's that Wookiee child that is involved in that series. So anyway, I had his character in my head as I was reading Lobaka, and
Yeah, I can see that.
and Raynar is a great character. I look forward to getting to know her more.
Yeah. So if, for Raynar, the character is like really concerned with looks and standing out, and is kind of a foil to Jason,
Yeah.
which is established pretty early on, and so it sets up some dynamic there, and then. I guess the kind of coolest thing about the Jason is that he tells dad jokes, and he's not even
Yes.
a dad yet.
Yeah, I like that part of the book. I love Jason's jokes, and their reactions to it. So the other students know that it's coming, right? They're like, oh
Yeah.
no, well, and they try not to react. And that interaction they have is just fantastic. It's fun. Yeah.
I'll spoil a joke for you. All right. Why does a TIE fighter scream as it passes by?
That's right. Because it misses its mothership.
Right.
Yeah. And that's just one of them. So if you've not read the books,
there's many. If those kind of jokes kind of make you go cringe and also make you think and laugh to yourself, you'll see a bunch of them.
Yeah, and like I said, it's less than 100 pages, so you can get through this book. And for anybody interested, if you look for them online, you can find them. If you want to get a physical copy, you can find them in some used retailers. You want to find a PDF copy, if you search, you can find those as well. So that. I got mine in a PDF version, and that's how I managed to read it. But a really good story. The other thing I thought was interesting about Raynar is that she was very athletic, right?
Yes. I mean, she stood out. Period. I mean, but I mean, but Tina Call was also very athletic, very serious too. Like she didn't even get the jokes. I thought that was one of the cool things about Tina Call. She didn't get the jokes. She obviously had this separation between humor and reality.
Yeah. I'm mixing my characters. You're right. Tino Ka is the one. Yeah. I mixed the characters up. Thanks for setting that straight.
No worries. I thought that's what you're talking about. That's why
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, like I said, I'm new to these, but Tino, she's very athletic, and smart, and confident.
Yes.
Which are interesting characteristics, and I know, it's not to dig up anything or get anybody ires up, but when you talk about a really strong female character, and in Star Wars, and so many people saying, hey, there's lots of strong female characters in Legends material, Tenel Ka is a good example of a strong female character, and I liked her right off the bat. Of course, I like Rey as well, but that's me. But Tenel, she's a fun character. Like I said,
Right.
I look forward to getting to know her more.
Well, you're not the only one to like Rey. I mean,
Yeah.
Vega likes Rey too. So I mean, it's not you're not alone. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of other people like Rey. I mean, just because I have my problems with Rey doesn't mean that Rey is an unlikable character.
Yeah. Well, I just know she's divisive in the fandom. So.
Right. Well, she's divisive because the series is divisive. It's just one thing that people pile on in the course of things. I mean, if the only problem that people had with the sequel trilogy was Rey, then I think Rey would be a minor consequence.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think so too. It really, through time, the biggest. There are many things, but it seems like the biggest thing that people are having a hard time forgiving is Luke Skywalker's character, and
right.
And so again, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but Tenel.
Right, and it's important though that this is actually kind of well, I mean, not to like belabor this, but I mean, in this series, it's important because we kind of see Luke in the mentor role, and I think this is the image that people, set up in their minds, and you can see how it's developed.
Yeah.
But when you get to Last Jedi versus this is a really big point.
Well, this is,
Expected.
I'm starting to make connections that I've heard other people make. As I was kind of getting through the book, and I think Ten will help get me there. I thought, what if in The Force Awakens, at the when she meets Luke at the end, she says something about Master Luke, right? Like that,
Right.
and you learned then in The Last Jedi that she had trained with him, but she was hiding on Jakku because she knew that Palpatine was searching for her, and she was hiding there.
I think, absolutely. I think if there had been some sort of connection, one that would explain her abilities on in The Force Awakens, and then if we had gotten, a dejected Luke, even if he was dejected at this point, and then she's not expecting this because this is not the Luke she was used to. So you could get that interaction like, what is wrong with you? You were never this way before.
Yeah, yeah, and or just knowing the pain he went through. Think like,
right.
So I go into like the end of Revenge of the Sith, when Yoda goes into hiding. Right, Yoda had to go into hiding to survive, and maybe
Right.
that's we learned that similar kind of thing happened with Luke after his academy was destroyed. And I thought, what a great surprise that would have been to find out in The Last Jedi or at the very end of The Force Awakens that Rey had trained with Luke, because she's old enough that she could have trained with him as a youngling, and that was sent to Jakku, and you learn at the very end, wait, she was a Padawan student, that would have been a great reveal, and you don't really change The Force Awakens.
And it actually makes everything come together.
Yeah.
And but yeah, and you get that with Tina Cobb. Tina Cobb is confident. She doesn't need really anybody's help throughout the whole thing, but yet even so, she defers to Luke as her master.
Yeah. So this is great. It kind of gets your juices flowing. I know we like to talk about fan fiction and things like this, but you take a Legends material like this that has some gold in it. Now it also has some not gold, fool's gold, right, if you will. So there's some pieces of it that but the other parts are really good. And Tennell is like we both mentioned, she's really strong. It stands out in the story. Jason and his sister are also very key to the story, and you're getting to know them as well. And you already mentioned this. We have the 4 characters that are really established, and it's a fun story.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think if you're looking for a fun story to sit down and read with the kids, this is a really good intro.
And you learn that kids have quite a bit of intelligence and ability really young.
Right.
Technical ability, I think Jaina builds a hyperdrive, or restores one right off the bat.
Restores a hyperdrive, and then they find, because they found a TIE fighter in the jungle. Of course, this is set on Yavin, so apparently there was scout TIE fighters sent out toward Yavin. And,
you sort of get that post-World War II thing with the Japanese on the island.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
The Japanese that doesn't accept that the war is over.
Yeah. So that's what the impetus of the story is. So I don't want to give away anything to anybody who hasn't read it, because there's no excuse, right? Like if money's a concern, you can find it. You can find this book.
You can find this for free online.
Yeah.
And again, again, this is something you could probably sit down in a couple of nights and read with your kids.
Yes.
And I think somebody as young as 6, 7 probably could understand it. And I think if they're 9 or over, they would be interested in reading it. So if you wanted to give it to them and let them read it, or read it through with them, so that you both can talk about it, I think this is a great read and good place to start.
I agree.
I think you're going to find that you're going to like Tino Khan and Jaina as you have little girls. I think they will fall in love with them. And then
Yep.
if you have boys and they're going to, and they love to get involved with all sorts of animals. Well, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
Vega loves to get involved with animals. She's a very animal loving. She loves snakes. She loves everything like that. So this is the kind of character for her. Jason is her kind of character, actually.
Yeah, and the same with Lobaka. Lobaka was able to repair a ship, get it flying, and heroically flew a damaged vehicle back to get help.
Right.
Yeah, really great character, and all four of them. So, yeah, but I know we kind of want to keep this short and kind of just tell people why they should go read it. But
Yep, I think it's a good beginning story. I would probably give it out of a 10, about a 7 on the scale of complexity and and deepness. It's not a super deep story. It's pretty much on the surface, but it is clearly an intro story, and the characters are really have potential.
I agree. It's a. I already mentioned it's a. In my view, it's a preteen book, not a young adult novel. And as a preteen book, I would give it probably an 8. Be very close, but just keeping in mind of preteen. If I'm looking at it as a young adult novel, I'd rank it lower. It doesn't stand up to Harry Potter or anything like that. But
no, it doesn't. But not. I mean, it's going to get more. And I've read the series way back when, and it does get more involved because it's clearly ages with the reader, and it's a really good thing. And so with that, I'll say that it's a good series. It'll end up being 14 books long, and it'll be a good series to read through with your kids. And I think it still has those kind of characters that will develop both young boys and young girls, and I think they can both fall in love with it. And so I highly recommend it.
I agree. I agree with everything you said. And the next book we're going to take up is book number 2, Shadow Academy. So if you want to catch up with us, you'd like to follow along, you can pick up Heirs of the Force. Again, you can find that online in PDF form, or if you want to have the physical copy, those are available. Used copies are online, very affordable that you can purchase. And Shadow Academy is the next one we'll be discussing.
Yep.
So please engage with us, leave some comments, let us know your thoughts if you've read it, or if you haven't read it and you decide to read it, we'd love to hear what you think as well.
I totally agree. And as we get through this series, we're going to eventually get into the full Jedi Knight of Jason and Jaina and their characters, and kind of follow it through. So, and then, as you heard in the conversation before, we kind of compared it to the sequel trilogy. We're going to kind of go through this and kind of analyze it in comparison. And the reason for that is not to say one is better than the other, but just to try to grasp an understanding of why one character is beloved and one character might have not been as loved by these people, by the people who read these, and just have some understanding. But ultimately, the idea behind this is, because this is really a fan fiction channel for Star Wars, we want to help you develop characters and see the differences, so that that you can take all the pieces that make a character very intricate and flawed, and and develop and learn to turn your fan fiction into something everybody else will love as much as you do. And I know most of us don't want to stay in fan fiction. We want to branch out into our own fiction, but this is a good place to start. And analyzing these pieces and the genre that we love is a good place to be. And I think that's a good place. What I will do is I'll put some links in the description if you want to follow up and read some of these books along with us, and we would love to have your comments in the bottom. Anything else to close us out there, Santa?
No, that's it. Thanks so much for spending some time with us today. It's Memorial Day weekend for us here in the United States, and a Magic Maker and I are both veterans, so remember what the holiday is for. And I know we're still in kind of quarantine lockdown most of the world, but enjoy some time with your family, and we hope that as we're going through this together, we get to spend some time together. It makes your time more enjoyable.
Totally agree. Thank you all for coming. I'll put those links in the bottom if you want to read along with us, and we'll put a link here eventually to lead to the next chapter. But until then, there'll probably be a story, or I'll put a link to Santa's channel so you can get some of this conversation on the development of what's coming in new Star Wars.
Yeah.
Thank you all. We'll talk to you later.
Take care.
May the Force be with you.